I got a cat. I'm so happy.
She's shedding so much on you. You are now going to be orange.
As I
Like
should.
ginger.
I like Cheetos. Hi, my lovelies. It's Rebecca Rogers. Welcome back to my channel. I'm so happy you're here regardless of which one of those you fit in.
Hi, I'm Nathan. I go by Nathan the Cat Lady. You can find me on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube,
Facebook. Yeah.
all the things, and I just make ridiculous videos with my cats.
As you
that was
should.
one of them.
But anyways, it's Tuesday, meaning it's apple picking day. And if you're as confused as Nathan is, because I did not explain what this is to him, I just set up a camera and didn't charge anything. Every week, people send in submissions to my subreddit, r/AmITheBadApple, and they want to know if they acted appropriately in various situations. We read the stories, we form opinions. Sometimes we think they're good apples or bad apples or crab apples, and sometimes we agree and sometimes we don't, but that's just life because we all have different life experiences, different lenses that we look into, and that's okay. We learn from each other through conversation. Yes, I sound like a man because my asthma does not get along with California.
It's great. It's great. I like the deep registers.
It's like raspy. It's like
exactly
new, keeping people on their toes.
Welcome to the smooth jazz late night hour
radio,
with
talk show.
Rogers and the Cat Lady, bringing you all the smooth jazz hits.
And lots of cat hair.
And cat hair.
But without further ado, let's get started with this week's episode of Am I the Bad Apple? Apple number 1. Am I the bad apple for not caring for my wife's art? Okay, let's start this out by saying I've lost all interest in viewing my wife's art. My wife's a digital artist and I love her work. I really do. And I think she has some skill. The only reason I'm not looking at her art is she stopped ever really looking at mine. See, I'm writing a graphic novel, which is a different type of art, I suppose. And she's refused to read any of it, maybe beyond the first 5 pages. She'll make excuse after excuse to outright say she doesn't like reading. So after a bit of it and everyone else near us that we trust reading bits and pieces of them, all liking my work, she still refuses to try and read any of it. So as a response, I've stopped showing any interest in her art, as I feel it's only fair that if she doesn't show an interest in mine, she should get the same treatment. Now she's come around to what I'm doing, and I even tell her what I'm up to when she asks, but she's responded that her art is important to her mental state, and with her anxiety and depression, that I should just take a look at her projects. I usually respond that my mental health isn't great either, and that my book helps me. I then bring up that I was hospitalized for about a week last month, and that my mental health matters too, but now she's just angry, saying that I should just get over it. But I'm still mad that I'm not asking her to read everything. I'd be fine for her to read 3 chapters most. Maybe enough to just dive in and give me some critiques. She's even talking with her friends about my book, saying that she doesn't even think it's gonna be good, but she doesn't know anything about it. She barely knows what the title is, so how would she even know about my work like that? She still insists that I need to help her by looking at her artwork and giving her opinions and going as far as to basically shove her art in my face. She refuses to try and compromise, and she just thinks that I'm being unreasonable. I've said that until she takes any interest in my work, I'm not showing any for hers either. So with all that rant over, am I the bad apple?
That's a lot to unpack. He's definitely a writer. Right off the bat, I think I'm gonna fight my better instinct. I'm gonna put him as a crab apple.
Okay.
I'm gonna put him in the middle, and here's why. I hate reading. I hate it so much. I don't like reading. I had a vision thing. Long story short, I get why she doesn't want to read. I don't think reading 3 chapters of a book is the equivalent to looking at a picture and going, that's a good picture. Those are different. You can look at a picture and be like, that's good, or honey, that's terrible. Stop it. Throw your art supplies away. And you can do that in a second. But if you have to sit down and read 3 chapters of that, like that was a long thing we just read there. And you have to do 3 chapters that I could see after a while, she's like, I don't want to read all of that. So I get it. That being said, I think in a relationship, you gotta support them. You gotta at least put in some effort, even if she just skims it. Even if she just like faked it and was like, it was good. At least he thinks she read a little bit. So I can see him being frustrated. I can see her not wanting to read all of it. So I'm gonna say, dude, stop being so petty, but like I can see why he's frustrated. So I get it. So I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt and put him right there in that middle. Ginger, thoughts? There you go.
No, come here.
Okay, so we're gonna give him a crab apple, at least on my side. What are you thinking?
I want her to come to me.
Well, she's a daddy's girl, so she's staying with me.
You're such a traitor.
Okay, go ahead. You see, I gave her permission.
So I would actually go bad apple, and I have a few reasons.
Okay, I'd like to hear it.
So they both are experts in different fields. Like even though it's art, it doesn't mean it's the same kind of art. I don't think it's weird, but I think that expecting your partner that is not an expert in this kind of art, like, can you give me critiques? Can you tell me what to fix? Like Avery, my husband, was an attorney, and if he was writing a brief or looking at a case and he was like, what do you think of this? I don't know. I'm not an attorney. Exactly. I don't know anything about it. And like, not saying that you shouldn't ask your partner for help, but I think that getting angry at them when they don't have critiques on your project is a weird thing to get mad about, especially when they don't have expertise in that field. Because like, there are things that Avery asks me my opinion about all the time. I'm like, oh, that's great. And he's like, do you actually think that? I'm like, I don't have expertise in this. I don't know.
You're being
I'm trying to be supportive. So I think that asking your partner that's not an expert in this field, like, what should I do different? They might not know.
I agree.
What bothers me the most is he's like, she's not helping me, so I want her to feel just as bad.
He did go super petty. When it's, again,
that's gross.
You're looking at a photo. Like, in like 2 seconds, you can look at it and be like, that's great.
Regardless, if you are not feeling validated or loved by your partner, I can't imagine, like, I want them to feel just as bad as me.
It's very unhealthy.
What? That's so messed up in my opinion. And that's why I'd go bad batch. Like, I think everybody here is a bad apple because, like,
that's fair.
I do think that she should, it might not be your favorite thing, but like, if you're expecting him to look at your art, you can read a couple pages. Like, I'm not saying that I think she's right either, but I do think it's gross to say, my partner is making me feel bad. I want her to feel just as bad as me. So I'm gonna go bad apple because to me that's just awful. Like,
I think they just went negative instead of like telling her like, hey, I would appreciate this and I'll do this for you, a little tit for tat, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
He just went straight to the like, fine, I'm gonna make your life miserable. And she's like, I'll make your life miserable. And that's some passive aggressive stuff. Like, one of them's, it's not gonna be good.
Like, the moment your goal is to make your significant other feel bad about themselves, it's not even I'm gonna do this because it's good for me. And if they feel, it's like, no, my goal is she feels bad.
So, bad apple, you guys are spiraling. I would talk to somebody that isn't us. We make YouTube videos. Don't talk to a professional.
We're not trained professionals. We're just hanging out.
Unless you're adopting a cat, because a cat will solve all your problems.
Apple number 2.
Let's go.
Am I the bad apple for telling my parents my brother lied? My 17 female, brother 15 male, and I's parents have a rule for jobs. We get to keep 1/3 of our paycheck. Another third goes to college, and the rest goes into a bank account for us when we turn 21. I think it's a pretty fair rule, and it's what I've always done since I've started working. My brother's always complained about our parents taking his money, but since we live under their roof, I think they have every right to do it. We thought my brother was only making about $15 an hour, and they were splitting the money with that kind of math. He actually told me today that he got a raise to $18 an hour, and he never told our parents. He just pockets the extra money and keeps it a secret from everybody. I think that's so disrespectful towards our parents. I mean, he's breaking their house rules. So I told him he has until tonight to tell them, or I will. And he called me a jerk, but he's only a kid and he doesn't get to dictate what happens in our parents' house. So am I the bad apple?
So the younger one is definitely going to work for the IRS, and the other one is doing child tax evasion, which in a home environment is not illegal, but you will get time out, I assume.
First of all, even though both kids are minors, I don't agree with you're a minor, I get to dictate what happens to your paycheck. I don't like that. I think that these teenagers are going and they are working for money, and I don't think that anyone has a right to dictate what they do with that money except for them. Now, I get that the parents are trying to make sure that they're budgeting and whatever, and I think that's smart, but I feel like they're viewing it or portraying it as a punishment kind of thing. I guess this is coming from the kid's perspective.
That's the thing. This is coming from the kid's perspective. And you gotta remember, it's the parent's job to teach the kid how to budget. This is teaching them, like, it sucks, but we're gonna put a chunk here. Like, how much money do these kids need for what they're doing? No, when they get older and they're like, oh, now I can pay for college.
Now, if the parents are like, oh, how dare you not tell us you got, that will be gross. But I think that, first of all, the older sister getting so involved, this is not her business.
That's
this
fair.
has nothing to do with her. It's not her money. It's not her house.
That's
like,
fair.
She has no dog in this fight. I know that as teenagers, my brother and I didn't always get along. But now my brother and I are extremely close. I can't imagine him telling me something and me going like, oh, I cannot wait for him to be so upset and in trouble and blah, blah, blah. Like,
yeah, so basically, mind your own business.
Right.
Unless you can use it as leverage at some point. As the younger brother, I would totally hold this over my brother's head until I needed a ride somewhere or something. But since it's the older going after the younger, mind your own business.
That's just, you're being a bully. I also just can't imagine that a 17-year-old is, how dare they break a parent rule.
Yeah, there's something else there.
No.
There's some other,
You can't convince me
there's some
that
other stuff.
there's no rule in your whole house that you haven't broken. You're 17 years old. I taught 17-year-olds. You can't lie to me. Of all rules that your brother could break and like disobey mom and dad, like that is such a minor.
An extra $1 an hour or $2 an hour?
An extra $3 an hour that they want to use as pocket change. That it's like, I can't wait to get. There are so many worse things.
Yeah, what's he gonna do
your
with an extra
brother's
$3 an hour?
doing okay.
Okay, we got 2 bad apples so far.
Yeah.
No apple pies today. Okay, let's go.
No apple pies. They're all rotten. Apple number 3. Am I the bad apple for waking up my fiance? I, 46-year-old female, have serious back problems and severe insomnia. Well, my fiance, 42 male, can fall asleep no matter where or when. The other night, my fiance fell asleep on top of our blankets instead of the pillows, and I was left without any pillows and no blanket. I'm a weird person who always needs to be able to sleep under the blankets to actually be able to fall asleep, and I was just left sleeping with pillows that I don't normally sleep on. My knee pillow wasn't between my knees to align my spine and lessen my back pain, and I wasn't able to snuggle with my fiance and sleep on his chest while cuddling him because he was turned the opposite way. Due to not having a blanket or any of the things that I usually have when I normally fall asleep, I couldn't sleep. On top of that, I was using uncomfortable pillows that I don't normally use. My fiance was sleeping on my special pillows for my body problems under his bottom and back. Like, he wasn't even using them on his head. Around 5 a.m., I got sick and tired of being cold and hurting due to not having my special pillows and him being turned the other way. He left me unable to sleep the way that I normally do. I decided to turn on the TV with the volume all the way up and turn all the lights on, not caring if I wake him up earlier than his alarms were set for work. If I can't sleep, why should he be able to sleep? I was in severe pain in my hips and my back due to lack of sleeping correctly. And he knows that I have a back injury and insomnia and that I can only sleep comfortably one way. So I feel like it was fair. I mean, again, if I can't sleep and he's messing me up, why should he be able to sleep? So am I the bad apple for purposely waking him up because he kept me from sleeping comfortably and caused me physical pain?
First of all, I can kind of tell just from the like, I need my special pillows and I have this and I haven't something like, I feel like she was worked up before she even went to sleep.
It might have even started as like a joke, but then like she just kind of left him and he just.
Yeah, but like, okay, so you fall asleep. Do I go and turn on the TV? Or like, first of all, she made it all the way to 5 a.m. So she just sat there and was just tossing and turning and miserable till 5 a.m. Okay, you fall asleep.
Hey, honey,
hey, can I get my special pillows?
Yes.
Done.
Yeah.
You stayed up till 5 a.m. festering and then like, oh, I'm going to turn on the TV at 5 a.m. and ruin his work day.
I know he has work, but I'm going to make sure that he's just as tired as me.
That's some bad apple behavior right there. That is bad. You knew when you wrote this. It was bad apple.
I totally get that some people do have pain in their body and they have to sleep. Like, Avery has to sleep with like, I think it's like this curved pillow. It's strange. And it just fits his shoulder.
Yeah,
so that it doesn't hurt his shoulders at night.
Sleeping is frustrating.
Yes.
But that being said,
if you
wake him up.
Yeah, exactly.
Wake him up at 10 o'clock when you guys went to bed at 7. Wake him up and be like, hey, I need a blanket.
Well, no matter how late, even if they went to sleep at 1 in the morning, just quickly like, hey, before you dive into REM sleep, can you just like,
Problem solved.
It's not that you were a bad apple for waking him up, because you should have done that in the first place.
It's how you did it.
You chose not to when you first went to bed. You chose to not gently nudge, hey, just trying to get you over to your side, just trying to get my stuff. You chose not to, and then when you decided that you were having enough and like, oh, it's 5 in the morning, I'm done with it now, then you're like, I want to make sure that he's just as miserable as me. Why would you ever?
I'm half expecting the next one that we read to be like, am I the bad apple? My wife woke me up at 5 a.m. with the TV super loud, so I took her special pillows and I slept on them the next night, because if I'm miserable, she's going to be, and it's just going to keep going. I don't want to read all of those.
I get people accidentally hurt the people they love. He hurt her by falling asleep and not making sure that when he went to bed, he was on his side, whether it was on purpose or negligent or started out as a joke and he fell asleep, whatever it was, he hurt her. But I genuinely will not believe that
he malicious sleep.
Yes, that he maliciously was like, you know what I'm gonna do tonight?
You can't plot that. It's not like you're like, I'll get her, watch this. It doesn't work that way. He probably was like, all right, I'm going to get back and pass out. And you like, wake him up. How about this? I'll tell you this. If you roll him over and you go, hey, you're sleeping on my special pillows and the blankets, I'm cold and can't sleep. And he went, shut up, and did this, get the air horn. I don't care. He had his chance. Give him a chance. But you just went straight to bitter festering for like 6 hours, and then you're like, I finally know what I'm going to do. I'm going to ruin his whole day at work. That dude probably had a horrible day at work. All of these couples are just
I don't
they're
understand.
They're like this close to just like
going
scary.
out of your way, hoping to hurt the person that you love. Like, that's so mean.
Yeah, so I'm 3 bad apples, guys. We're not doing well.
We're not. I can't even remember the last time we had all bad apples. I don't know.
We still got hope on the last one.
Apple number 4. Am I the bad apple for screwing up my boyfriend's interview? To keep this short, my 25 female boyfriend, 26 male, had a big interview on Friday that could jumpstart his career. He's been planning for it for about 3 weeks. Usually, I do all the laundry and take care of our flat in terms of cleaning. On Wednesday, my boyfriend told me he wanted to wear a very specific blazer and that it was in the bin to be washed. I usually do laundry on the weekends because I'm a full-time university student and I work part-time during the week, so it's hard to take time to go to the laundromat. I told him I'd do it Thursday night though, and he said that was fine. Mind you, he hasn't been working since he just graduated school in the fall semester, so since the end of December, his parents help him pay rent until he gets a job. Anyway, Thursday rolls around and I get home from class and he's just playing video games and immediately asks me when I'm gonna do the laundry since he's super nervous and wants it to go perfectly. I'm so tired from school because I had an exam and he didn't even ask me about it, so I felt irritated and say that I'm gonna do it later, but I want to take a nap first. He says that's fine and that he's gonna go to meet up with a friend for a drink later to help calm his nerves. Anyways, I actually decided to not do the laundry because I was tired and also because I was partially pissed off. I was working all day at school and was exhausted, and all he was doing was video games and hanging out with friends. He had plenty of time to do the laundry. He was so mad that I didn't get his blazer ready and ended up wearing something else and saying that I screwed him over by not fulfilling what I agreed to. I thought this might blow over since he said the interview still went well despite me attempting
attempting to sabotage him.
But he's still not speaking to me, and even said he may go stay with his parents over this. Was I really that much of a jerk? I mean, I didn't think so, but was I the bad apple?
I know guys like this that just they just play video games, they don't contribute. Like, this dude doesn't work. He's just waiting for his next job. He could have done laundry all day if it was that important. So I get where you're coming from. It's still kind of a bad apple because you did say you were going to do it and then you just purposely didn't do it. That's kind of shameful, you know?
Yeah.
Like, maybe like in the morning be like, hey, look, I don't know that I'm going to have time today. If you have time to do it, do it. But you purposely did it to mess him up. I don't know if I agree with him not talking to her for this long and then like, I'm going to go stay with my parents. Let him go stay with his parents. If his parents are still fronting the bill, like, it sounds like he's not a very mature dude. I think you guys got to break up. That's not what we're doing.
Sometimes I tell people to run. So I'm going to go with a bad bushel.
This whole thing.
Because I think everyone, I don't necessarily agree with anyone for different reasons. So first of all, with the boyfriend, obviously is just being lazy. Like, great, you have your parents supporting you until you find a job. Great, that not everyone has that privilege, but that's awesome that you do. Congratulations. That doesn't mean that just because your parents paying your rent that your girlfriend's gonna have to clean the whole house while she's a university student, make dinner, and blah blah blah. Like, why are you not contributing to the household? You know, that doesn't make any sense to me at all. Why do you get to do absolutely nothing all day when she's working part-time and going to school and coming home and doing chores? I don't like that. I think that's gross. And not only are you just playing games all day, but then you're like, okay, well, I'm gonna go hang out with a friend tonight.
Oh yeah, forgot about that. No, dude, this guy. No. I need to go calm my nerves. Like, you know you're not gonna get the job because you're
Why don't you call me? You know what's really calming? Laundry. It's so boring.
Go drink at the laundromat, man. Switch it up a little bit. Bring a claw, like bring a flask and drink at the laundromat if you have to drink that bad. But no, don't be like, hey, while you're doing my laundry after a long day, I have to go drink. No, I hope the guy didn't get the job. He doesn't sound like he deserves it. I've had a long day. I can't imagine how she felt then having to try and do while he was out like drinking and playing video games. She's still a bad apple for purposely sabotaging.
Right, like
but I understand why you did it. I think you guys just gotta
At the same time, you know, again, I do think she's a bad apple.
Yeah.
And he's clearly a jerk. But at the same time, your exam wasn't scheduled yesterday. You knew that you had an exam and you still were like, oh yes, I'm going to get this done. Now, 100% exams are exhausting. Your brain is fried. You're working, you're going to school. But I think that when you're like, oh yes, I'm going to get this done, not communicating of, hey, I've actually had a really long day. Do you mind taking care of this? Or hey, before you go out, like, I know that I said that I was going to do this, but I'm just like, you knew when you got home and saw him doing video games.
I do get though, some people bring the worst out in you, and like if you had a long day and you come home and they're just sitting there like just this lazy like slug playing video games. It's like, hey, you want to keep working while I continue to be lazy? I get it.
I'm not saying that I expected her to act like, I think that I would have also let my anger get the best of me.
I would have been way worse.
I would have said that for me too. I would not have thought that that was my best moment. I think that communicating hey, I just had an exam, I'm tired, when you knew that you weren't gonna do it anyways, and when you're planning on staying with someone and you're like, this interview has his whole career riding it, well, if you're planning on being with this person, that should matter to you too. It's not just I'm getting him real good, like that.
I don't think she wants to be with him. I think that's why she's willing to let him fail at his job interview.
All these relationships that are just like going out of their way to go tit for tat and I'm gonna get him, I'm gonna teach them a lesson, I'm gonna XYZ, like that.
This is toxic.
Dumb.
That's pretty toxic. All these stories had a lot of just like, I'm just gonna make them hurt like I hurt, and it's like
there's a moment that in stories like these that I always think back to, And I don't think I've ever actually verbalized it, and I don't think I've ever told Avery this either. But I remember there was a time when I was trying to record one of these bad apples, back when I just did it by myself.
Okay.
And I realized my ring light was in my car, and Avery had my car at a softball game. And in that moment, I was so annoyed. My car was at softball and whatever, and I texted him and I was like, is my ring light in my car? And I like, that's all I asked. And I, in that moment, was so mad. But then I thought about it and I was like, why am I mad at Avery? He didn't know that my ring light was in there.
Right.
I told him that he could use my car, and I really had to check myself. I remember sitting at my desk thinking, like, I love this guy. Yeah, I'm mad at myself right now, but I don't want him to feel upset because I made a mistake. Like, that's so messed up. And so reading these stories and thinking about these individuals that are like, I want to go out of my way and make my partner feel bad. I can't relate. Like, I never want my husband to feel bad.
I think a lot of these people are, they're just upset at the situation they're in.
Right.
The kids, they're upset that they're losing some of their money, and they're like, oh, if I lose money, why aren't you losing money? They're just mad at that.
They're not even really losing.
The one girl's mad because she can't sleep because she's sore and she's grumpy and she's cold. Yeah, her boyfriend fell asleep. Wake him up. But you're mad because you can't sleep. Like, you even said it. He can sleep wherever he wants. There was a lot of bitterness in there.
I think it's very normal for people to get mad in their situation that they're in.
Right.
And even kind of have an attitude. Like, Avery can tell you, there's plenty of times where I'm doing something and I'm frustrated and he's trying to help and I snap a little bit. I'm not proud of those moments either, but I think there is also a difference between getting frustrated and like snapping or having an attitude, but then choosing an action that goes out of your way to harm somebody.
Because then it just builds. Like, you do it, then he does it, then and you're only gonna get worse.
Exactly.
So,
And that just, don't do that to the people that you love. You should never go out of your way to try and harm someone that you really care about, because if you care about them, you shouldn't want them to feel that way. So not only do we have a couple bad bushels, but we just have the entire episode matches your wall. Yeah. Thank you guys so much for joining us today.
Absolutely.
We hope that you guys enjoyed hanging out with us. I mean, we always have a good time together, but we love you guys. I hope to see you guys next week. And for your well wishes today, I hope that sometime in the next day or two you see a really cute cat or dog, whichever you prefer, because we get there are cat people and dog people out there. That's fine. Whichever you prefer, I hope you see a really cute cat or a dog somewhere, and it just makes your whole day.
Or a bunny or a little, whatever.
Whatever.
A horse.
A giraffe. That might be a little out there.
I fed a giraffe 2 weeks ago. It's possible.
I fed a giraffe. There's a place next time you come visit. We're going to
go feed a giraffe, guys.
100%. They have
Stop
blue
being
tongues.
petty with each other. We're gonna feed giraffes.
They have blue tongues.
I know. He's like right there. He's like.
Thank you guys. See you next week. Bye, my lovely